Hello and welcome to today's Positive Future for Health podcast at Pain Free. And today we have the amazing Catherine Teds, and she's going to be talking about something that I think is really it's a serious subject, but I think it's really important to air and talk about. And she knows all about this, so I was very keen to have her on the podcast. It's something that many of us, many people come into my world. So I teach people how to be pain free, as some of you know. Many people have trauma and past stories and past issues or experiences, and they can affect us all the way through our lives. So I thought this is a really important subject to bring Charlotte in. And I met her recently. We met recently on a couple of platforms, and the Healing Hub and also that's run by a wonderful hypnotherapist who was also on podcast, and also on the Sovereign Health. I forget all the names of these things. I'm on different things. But on the Sovereign Health Directory, I think it's called, we were both interviewed to come onto that. So you'll see more about these different platforms as time goes. But for now, so Charlotte, without further Charlotte, tell us about yourself. Why did you get into this heavy subject, I think, of trauma and satanic ritual abuse? What brought you to this place?
Well, yeah, welcome everybody, and thank you for kind of signing in today. It's great to see people's faces and got all these faces to talk to, so that's lovely. Yeah, what got me into it? It's really a journey that's unfolded just through my life experiences. Um, I think I look back and I think God's given me a taster of many different aspects of trauma in my life. Not to the degree of what an SRA survivor would go through to any extreme, but enough to give me information to know the experience. And then it's really that combined with I worked in rehab for 20 years with movement, mobility, and manual therapy. And initially, working in the NHS gave me quite a quick insight to not really being given the correct toolkit maybe when I've kind of first qualified, and that opened my eyes up to why what was that teaching method for when you get into the real world, and I didn't really have what I felt was the toolkit. So just through observation, I started to see all these conditions coming in, and you're trying to help people get out of pain and help them. And there was this just common thread that I would keep finding, and every chronic illness that I would research or every injury would lead down to stress being the cause every time. And what I noticed was people would either be injuring themselves because they were going too quick through the world, or they would be injuring themselves because life had kind of created them to stop or to slow down. And that really fascinated me with what this behavior, what was happening. And so when I came out of the NHS after about 7 years, I couldn't quite, I got quite frustrated because I started to bring in methods to reduce stress, and it wasn't really something they wanted to entertain. Or you'd have to go down the route and prove, all this evidence, and it just seemed very long-winded and narrowly received. So I left, and I moved to Australia,
That's
and
strange, isn't it, Charlotte? I mean, you'd think that they want to reduce stress that caused symptoms.
yeah, you would, but when I do a full loop and we're doing the SRA and what that actually is, it actually all is linked to there's a
Right.
reason for why they don't really teach you all these things.
Mm.
But that I found that out in the end. So yeah, I went to Australia, and I had a lot more freedom there, and I set up my own clinic, and I really started to learn all the ways I could bring in stress relieving modalities. So, acupuncture, yoga, I did body work, and they were just so good at really calming the nervous system. One of the common themes that seemed to be running through it was I was working with this structure called fascia. And um, and since that day, it still fascinates me. And one of the things I learned from that is that we kind of hold, and then I got into somatics. As soon as you get into fascia, you very quickly come into somatics. And basically somatics,
And fascia is the membranes that sort of hold things together in your body, isn't it? The muscles, all the fibers, all the sinews, all the it's like the connective tissue almost, or is really, isn't it?
yeah, yeah, it is. And the researchers are still fascinated with it. They're still finding things. And there is even this thought that it's where our kind of life force comes through, like it's that structure that is it's operating through. So
Wow.
so much to unfold with that. But one of the things when I came to do somatics, which is basically everything to do with the body, I quickly came across work that described we create these emotional holdings in the fascia that we don't know that we're holding, and it creates an amnesia in the body, so you can't feel you holding these postures. And I learned that there was different reflexes that would go on and create the body to go into these particular shapes. And that made sense to me because I'd just had kind of 20 years of watching people walk up and down, trying to process why are people in these positions. And then when you layer in that there's emotional impact is the primary reason why we are the way we are,
It,
it
it's
made
it's
sense to me to
it's
go in a
interesting. Yeah.
sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, I mean, it's the somatic. We hold things inside. We hold ourselves in a certain posture. We have certain emotions or the way we behave, and often we don't even realize. We don't even know it. We don't even realize. Maybe we do, but we don't sort of consciously realize where it's all coming from. I mean, so many times I did body work as well, like yourself, and so many times people would say, "Oh, I didn't realize it's tight there," and things like this, and as you probably know, with somatic work, we hold things within. We create cancer and lumps and tension. And even if you're just stressed, your shoulders go tight. Your body reflects what you're experiencing, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, that exactly. And we just don't know we're doing it because the body's really clever in protecting us. And so this safety mechanism, then I started to learn, and how the nervous system keeps us safe no matter what's happening. It really has a way to keep us safe and to kind of numb things out and block it away. So it really fascinated me that. And so but then when kind of learnt that, it's not long before you come into the topic of trauma. And it really was when I started to learn that, did my concept of what I thought trauma was changed. And I originally thought, oh, well, I've not been to war and I've not been, all the things that you see on the news. So I don't have any. But once I broke it down and realized what compounds and sets that in the body, I realized I had plenty of it. And so I spent the next 8 years still doing my job, but I I just spent the time using all the practices I was learning on myself. And anyone that here has worked in healthcare or naturally, that in that helping capacity, as soon as we learn new information, there's this urgency to go and share it and pass it out to everybody.
You
But
too.
I was so excited, but I don't know whether it was God or something was coming in to just stop me, because I thought this is really serious, and I have to really learn more about this and really heal myself before I even entertain sharing this space with anybody else. And I guess that saying, you can only go as deep with someone as you've been with yourself. I
Absolutely.
and then the more I learnt about fascia, and that we've got this sixth sense that the nervous system's picking up something way before we can cognitively pick it up, and also we're giving off signals through our body way before we know we're doing it. So once I kind of grasped that concept, I thought for me to go and start helping people, I need to know, I need to be aware of this invisibleness that I didn't know I was doing. So that took some time. In that time, though, I started to,
So,
sorry.
sorry, I just wanted to know, so you didn't go through any traumas yourself, but as you started to get into the fascia and understand and learn about trauma, you realized you had a lot of patterns yourself. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah, I'd probably been in fight flight, well, all my life. I still am in some degrees because the world we live in. But a lot of my personality traits were from a fight flight basis,
Mm.
and so yeah, kind of just observing that and bringing compassion to it first and foremost, and realizing really then you just start to observe people, and there's this even bigger compassion comes out because you think everybody is operating from this platform, this basis, and it was just an observation of compassion really.
Like
So I started.
protection, protection mode, isn't it? We need to function. We need to live life and get up and work and whatever you do in your life.
Yeah,
And we can't be having all our feelings and memories and experiences on the plate there, showing all the time because we wouldn't be able to function. So
no,
that to me makes really a complete sense why it just gets sort of covered up in a way. We keep
yeah.
moving forward.
That's right. And when you've got that amnesia in the body, people don't even know they're doing it. So it's quite blind. We're quite blindsided really by our own nervous systems. And I just find that really compelling and fascinating. So it's not a blame game. It's more of kind of just understanding and seeing if people want to, explore that. So I then started to bring it into my clinic, and I brought trauma sensitive work into the way people, the staff that I had. I trained them in how to kind of speak to people and the words to use and not to use. I addressed everything from the smells to the wording we used in emails. And I noticed over a period of 5 years, people's health outcomes were improving on top of the things we was doing. And that kind of then
Fantastic.
started to make me think, our world is not trauma sensitive at all. This was before I woke up, to many other things, but I just thought it's actually quite aggravating. It's actually almost like it's on purpose. So, but I couldn't connect why. I just thought, well, I can only control my world and the people I engage with. So but then, 2020 came around, and it all made complete sense. And
Mm.
because I was in that tunnel of learning about trauma, I just thought quite quickly, oh, this is we've got a global agenda going on here. And so very quickly I just started to piece things together. Um, made so then that's when the mind control started. I started to witness that,
Yeah.
um, in how the mind can be manipulated to the degree it was in people that I'd known for 10 years, how they just changed, in how I changed. And so my it started with being quite interested in mind control because I was living it. We was all living it.
But there was a lady from the behavioral insights team. I heard her speak the other day. I can't remember her name, but she said she couldn't believe she was trained um, in um, in mind control, basically, in the behavioral insights team. And she couldn't believe how quickly we all succumbed to the patterns, all this hands, face, and the patterns, the rhythms, the emotional, that way is you're dreadful, and that way is you're wonderful, and you're a good person. And it was she couldn't believe, and she was trained in it. Her business, her training was that, and she couldn't believe how quickly we succumbed to the patterns and
Wow.
the instruction.
Wow, it is, and I think, but then when I go into the SRA thing, I understand what you just said. Then, um, we've actually been mind controlled for a long time,
I
and
think so.
we have got to this point now. Even those that understood might have understood what was happening in 2020, we've still been blindsided by so many things, and I think it's and that comes down to how powerful we are as individuals, because they if we wasn't powerful, they wouldn't have had to have gone to so much extent to kind of keep us in this suppressed state. So
Mm.
once I kind of learned that, I made a decision to come back to the UK because I actually found the community was just a bit more receptive in my community than where I was in Australia. So, and that was the decision. Then I thought, I'm completely giving up my rehab work, and I'm going to just go straight into somatic trauma therapy because I just see that everybody, we all need a piece of it in our lives. And so when people are receptive for it, that's what I do. But on that journey, then still with this thirst to find out, so why did this happen, and what happened in 2020? It's always that questioning. It wasn't long before I came to the satanic ritual abuse, and really that's when everything made complete sense. And I did look the other way initially. I was like, no, that I can't, no, no, that's too much. But something
It's a
inside,
big subject, isn't it? It's tough.
yeah, but
It's
something just
scary.
gnawed at me, and I just thought, no, this I can't look the other way. I can't. So what I did is I spent the next kind of 4 years just learning a little bit and then having a break. And then I'd learn a bit more and then I'd have a break. And I just wanted to see whether it was, something that I was meant to do or not. And I've actually just found a very strong magnetic pull to it. And as my nervous system's adapted, um, I it's just really then understanding on a deeper level really how this world is run, and it leaks through to how I was trained and why we were limited and why education is the way it is and why the news is the way it is. And
It all
it's
just click,
actually,
click, click, clicks, isn't it? It's
oh,
the
yeah,
same. Truth is truth, and then you go down
yeah,
this rabbit warren, and it's like, oh well, what about this and what about that? And I mean, I hats off to you that I hats off to you to going down this very tricky subject and serious subject. I mean, I couldn't. I did a bit of a journey like you. I kept dipping in and out, but I had young children at the time, and I couldn't allow myself to go down that sort of, pedophile and satanic and all that dark, dark stuff because I had little children, I didn't want to, I needed to be present for them, But hats off to you for going down there because I think I agree with you. I think we all get sort of uh, trauma, what do you call it? Mind controls. We do going to school and ding, ding, eat, ding, ding, can I go to the loo? Ding, ding, school's finished. And we have that for 16 years. Who started the school system? What's the banking system? What's the political system? And the way that I see it is everything sort of in power. They just want to control the ones below. And I think
yeah,
this is part of the whole system of control. And poor
yeah,
us sort of trying to just live a life in between. Maybe you know about this stuff or don't, but I mean, even just by advertising on the TV. I mean, I chucked my TV out years ago, and it was fun. It was one of the best things I did because we all started to talk and think
yeah.
and ask questions and observe naturally. Your cork will naturally bubble up. So you started to dive deep into um, satanic ritual abuse. And what happened? What was the path there for you?
Well, it really was, I guess, this piecing together, and like what you just said then, when the internet, threw the TV out, and when the internet came out, we got more connected. Well, the couple of newspapers that post-war and the TV was the directed form of propaganda that they could start that mind control, and they had perfect and direct opportunity to do that. There was no external thought process or ideas that could come through because they had complete control over it. And it's only when, the internet has come out that I think it's gone twofold, for good and for bad. But of course, I think the light is always overdoes the dark because this is why we're here. Um, but one of the things that really got my attention was, I mean, I don't know about people here, but I remember growing up thinking, why is it that those superstars and the celebrities and these royals and these politicians and these all these great people that you'd see on this TV, how do they get there? And um, they must have really amazing qualities, and they're amazing. And you've got this idealization going on through my nervous system. Like, wow, I could never be like that. Or when when I learnt about all what was going on, it kind of soon came to play that this is they're not there because they've got superpowers or they're talented. You know, they're there because they've got a bloodline, or they're part of a club, or they've got some tactics that they've become part of a club and learnt some tactics that's going to allow them to go further up the line. And yeah, it's just this whole fascination with and then it's that leads to control, and coming in from this trauma aspect of, basically anything where our information is played with, or our resources are played with, or our protection is played with, which all comes from these organizations. Our bodies constrict, and we go into and then we develop these emotional holdings. And so it became more of a pathway of injustice, really, of thinking it's this education needs to get out there of um, this is all by design,
Mm.
people. Like, this is,
But- mm.
there is nothing wrong with you. Like, the world is just really doesn't want you to succeed.
Doesn't
Um,
want to, and that's that thing about fear, isn't it? From a child, you're taught to be quiet,
yeah,
be seen and not heard, and ask me permission to go to the loo, or from teachers or whatever, or from adults. I remember when
yeah,
I had my children were young, I found it fascinating how sometimes even people in my own family, there's how they would behave around my children, and they would say things like they're naughty or they're wild. I thought, what do you mean they're wild? They're playing. What do you, I don't I thought it's interesting. And as adults, we have fear of asking questions, or fear of the police, or
yeah,
fear of perhaps I'm not right,
yeah,
something that's really calling you. But fear to stand up and speak your truth is, I don't know about other people, but I feel it's enormous barrier to speak up or do something different. That
yeah,
that fear. And I thought, well, what is that? What's my truth is the same as everybody else's truth. We're living, we have our own truth inside. Maybe that's all part of the indoctrination to stamp us down. Don't speak up. Just do what you're told.
yeah. And actually, that links beautifully with what I was going to say next, because the fear, um, is part of it. But the reason is, well, to my understanding, when I eventually began to learn how to unprogram, well, I don't use the word unprogram, support ritual abuse survivors to undo all of the, or to help them undo all of the things that have happened to them so their mind can be made whole again. Um, the way that I kind of learnt it, and this is from people, the best way to learn it in my mind is from people that have healed and have lived it. So they're the people that I've learnt from, and it opened me up to the spiritual jurisdiction and the power of what this all is about. So I guess when we're using the word satanic ritual abuse, we've got Satan, and so we've got the opposite, which is God. And it kind of opened me up to this spiritual jurisdiction that I didn't realize was a thing. And once I started to learn that, and to learn that that is actually our highest jurisdiction, that we're operating in this kind of realm, um, and whether you believe in God or not, it doesn't really matter, because that's how that's how the powers that be and these elites and these clubs, they know all this so well. Obviously they invert it to their agenda, but they use spiritual jurisdiction to create our laws, so-called laws, and how they've kind of brought it in. But what you were saying there, Althea, is the fear of, you don't um you don't say no, or you don't ask a question, or we don't answer back. That the ultimate agenda they really wanted is for us to not be able to say no, or to look for us to learn that we was under an illusion, and all we have to do is learn. I don't say all because what it is all we have to learn is that if we don't have to consent, because what we're being told is actually a lie, and once we learn how to do that, this all ends. um that's the last thing they want us to know. And so in terms of the fear, societally, that's it's been heavily indoctrinated in
Yeah.
people,
I
heavily.
I even feel like talking. I was really toing and froing whether to invite you on. In my heart, I knew definitely yes. But I even now talking about, I feel a bit nervous. Is everyone okay with this subject? How's everyone feeling on this subject? This whole subject of suppression, don't talk, traumas we've been through, um, and right at the other end of the satanic abuse. Um, it's all levels of trauma of suppression and control. I'm
Yeah.
feeling the nervousness. I don't know how everyone's feeling, but maybe you're ahead of me and you've gone through that barrier. I don't know, but I think it's so important to talk about it.
Yeah. And however, I mean, I'm sure there's uncomfortableness that goes inside people that you recognize. And if anybody here is experiencing anything that is overwhelming, your nervous system's either sent you to sleep now, or it's you switched off and you're thinking about something else, because that's what it's designed to do. So your nervous system will take care of you. And that's kind of part of the thing. But I think to be able to talk to this, not to bring it all down and gloom and, oh, we're talking about gloomy things, but actually there's so much good in this, because once we get to talk about and connect these dots, and people get to share their stories and feel heard, and not be gaslit, and not be told, to fear of standing up and learning this knowledge of spiritual jurisdiction. um, it doesn't take long to realize, you don't have power over me, and that's really empowering, and that's what they don't want us to have. That's the worst. That's their idea of the plan, going all wrong. So I think there's a lot of positivity in it, but naturally I appreciate it has to be done um in bits and at people's capacity. So under no thing am I going to start, talking all really dark and terrible things, because to me, underneath it, doesn't matter what actually happens. Ultimately, there's a theme that runs through this, and it's us learning how they're operating our systems. And fundamentally, it comes from the same place, that we're all under this contract, whether we like it or not. And under spiritual jurisdiction, the likes of King Charles, when he does these oaths, and they do these ceremonies, it's not for show, and it's not, well, or the news and things make it look like it is. But what it is a contract, and he's recontracting back through the Bible, because they use the Bible, and he's re-signing his contract over what he did from what his mum's contract was. And it's quite fascinating that over 72 hours of his kind of him becoming the king, they managed to get 150 of the most powerful people in one place. Um, and now those people are only coming in that place. They have to be there because there is a contract being signed, and that contract is giving them the legal jurisdiction in the spiritual realm to kind of then do, I mean, then they do their deception and they do what they do, but they ultimately have this moment with God, and they there's a spiritual thing that's happening. And I probably wouldn't have believed that until I started working with SRA and really understanding why they did what they did with these people to achieve what they needed to achieve. And obviously they went through the most crudest form of trauma anybody can experience, but that's done for a reason. And um yeah, so and when you start seeing how these people can heal, and you witness it when you're using spiritual jurisdiction and this kind of work, it opened my eyes to there's something far greater out there that can heal us and can help us if we just learn this set of kind of law, this spiritual law.
And
Um,
it really is good and evil, light and dark, God and the devil. It really is, and we live in a dualistic world, polar world. It's always black and white, up and down. So it doesn't matter how bad you feel or whatever you've been through, whether it's been very traumatizing or sadistic abuse, even going down that to that extreme. It doesn't matter how bad it is. There's always the equal and opposite light. Always. That's the law of nature. And
yeah.
did you see there was a Swiss banker that came out? Gerhard, I think it was, or something, a Swiss banker, and he was sexually abused by his parents, and he was in the system. He was in the child homes, and all sorts of difficulties for a little boy to deal with. And so basically, he went stony cold. His heart was stony, stony cold. He got into a lot of trouble growing up. He didn't care about people. And eventually that led him to banking. And the guy who introduced him to banking said, you have to have your heart in 1,000 degrees freezer to do this work. He said, no problem. So he went into the system. He was extremely successful. He got to the higher ranks of the banking system. As some of you may know, that the banking system pretty much runs the world. And so he got to the higher echelons of the banking system and the secret sort of groups or whatever. And the last final test, he was starting to go into destroying children and murdering them and abusing them and all sorts of horrific things. And that was the moment when he cracked. His ice cracked because he'd experienced something similar. So his child, I guess, sort of awakens the way I see it, and he changed. Now he's a force for good, and he helps and he heals people. But it took him a long, long process to go through that. But it doesn't matter how bad it's been. If you've been through a lot of trauma, whatever it is, it doesn't have to be severe and sadistic. As you say, we're all mind controlled in many ways in the system. Um, and no matter how bad you feel or how stuck you feel, there's always the a polar opposite available for you when you're ready. It's available for you.
Yeah, no, that's actually a good point you make, because I think when you said with the banker there, I remember watching his interview. It's
Oh, you've seen
and
that?
yeah, and that just speaks to how it's done, because mind control is actually not separate from paedophilia, because you can't have one without the other. And you can, and particularly these movies that have portrayed mind control, particularly your MK Ultra level, like your Assassin and Born Identity and these kind of things that they show a level of how the mind can split, but what they don't show you is that this that man who kind of became that character, to get a mind to do that, it can only be done when it's a developing brain. So the trauma is done in the developing brain. And so all of this is done when children are young, and it's a lot of brought through families, because the brain is not going to get to the level they want it, so it can dissociate to do the jobs they do. So we've got all these people in power, and on our TV screens and doing these things, and that they're all of likely, well, I can't say all, but those that are in the top positions, it will have been done to them for them to be able to do the job they do with such a cold heart, which we see at times. So, I think it's that. And then we've got this collective trauma, which goes on just with all of us, with, from World War II. And we've just been collectively driven, drip fed this constant layer of, because they all want us to the point where we are now,
Mm.
which is to them, which is end point, where people are, one, so far away from God, and two, don't know what's going on and who they are. And it's really an amazing job, well done, really. um and I think it's this keeping this conversation going, because one of the agendas that was part, they've had lots of agendas. It's been a multiple pronged attack, but one of the agendas is to be politically correct and to not, we can't say this because you're going to upset that person and we're going to upset this person, and that's been dripped in so much that there's this level of I better not say that because I'm going to upset that and trigger this and trigger that. But unless we can see this clearer picture of what this is all about, that's exactly what they want. They don't want people really talking about these things.
And coming back into everyday kind of everyday trauma, I mean, trauma happens in families. Often things happen in families and relatives and friends or communities. So what does trauma, if we are blindsided by what we've gone through and our behaviors and postures and things, how will people recognize, do we know we've been through trauma? How do we recognize we're covering up or we're hiding, or how does it come out in us?
Um, well, there's about 4 or 5 different, I guess, personality patterns which fit in with the survival adaptation the nervous system's doing. So you've got you fight, you flight, and the freeze. So each of those have personality traits. So if you've been dominant in one of those, um, these types of things will start to show up. So, for example, flight, um, which is the need to run away, when that's being stimulated in your life for whatever reason, these people are naturally going to either be moving from relationship to relationship. It can look like moving job to job, moving around the world, never kind of, just never feeling that they can stay grounded in one place. And we can have mixtures of all of these things. Um, your fight response classically is the competitive person, the one that has to be at the top, the successful kind of business owners. I'm being very general here because people can have a bit of everything. Always needing to show that they're doing really well. Um, and then your freeze response is, you know, people that can be quite insular, and I guess people get termed introverts, extroverts, and there's all these names, but that can be, a sign that people just feel safer if they're not amongst people, and it is a way of keeping safe, and a freeze response. Um, and then there is a response that doesn't really get spoke about much, which is the find response, and you don't really hear much about this, but we are um, our nature is that we go to find information. So that's our survive. That's how, I guess, creative we are, and how amazing we are. So we always seek to find information. So if you've got your nervous system is being overwhelmed for whatever reason, and the find is there too. This is what happened in 2020, when our information was locked down. So people were on this search to find information, and you've got this agitated nervous system with a need to find information, and it can be, I mean, it's great because you find your information, but and we find ourselves here today, and we're seeking people like us. It's a find response, and that's a really good quality, but it's just making sure, I guess we're just checking in that, has it got, are we doing it through hypervigilance, or are we doing it to find things to soothe us, to calm us? So it's kind of interlinked with everything, but um, so they're kind of behavioral traits that people can have, and there's different ones as well, but you're also then looking at your, I guess, your body, and um, the kind of famous book from Dr. Bessel van der Kolk, The Body Keeps the Score,
Mm.
um, beautifully highlights how, by us kind of living in this society, where we're not taught how to pulsate our body by design. We're we're kind of taught to hold everything in and to just, keep a kind of a mask on, everything's all right, don't talk about it, keep it quiet, don't let the neighbors know, all this social conditioning.
And then it goes the opposite way. We have a medical system that says, don't look at the cause, look at the symptoms, and get rid of the symptoms, which I
Yeah,
call messages. Messages. Your symptoms are messages to pay attention to.
yeah,
But we're taught the opposite, to get rid of the messages, get rid of the symptoms, suppress it, make it go away, cut it out.
yeah.
Don't go within you.
Yeah, and I guess the medical model is then they brought the pharmaceuticals in, to kind of do that and mask it. So yeah, it's so right what you say there, just to kind of ignore it, and the more, but again, it's not us actually intentionally ignoring it. It's we've been programmed. This is all one
Yeah.
big program we're running on.
Yeah. And
And
if you go against any of the system, you'll come slap up against the system in some sense, whether it's the doctor or your neighbors or the police or the schools or it's like it's what's that, it's Stockholm syndrome. If you're in a system, it's we sort of fight for the system, the norm. And you come up against that if you question anything. That's why we lost so
yeah,
many friends, isn't it, through the last few years. So
yeah.
but I was asking, well, how do you release it then? If you recognize it, or you know it, or you feel it, or you know you've been through trauma, or your system is being triggered, how do you release it? What do you
So
do? Do you want
there's
to come on, Rebecca, and talk to Charlotte? Would you like to unmute? I'll make everybody so you can unmute. Once you've asked your question, please do. Sorry, Charlotte, just to
That's
catch you in that
okay.
moment. Um, so I can do that. How do I unmute everybody?
Do you want, shall I answer the question or am I waiting
Yeah,
for?
yes, please. Yeah.
Okay, so releasing. Yeah, that's a great question. That was my first question, right? I've learnt this, so right, how do I get rid of it? Well, it's lifelong, and and while we're living in this environment and this world, we have this strong, powerful thing still going on, but it doesn't mean to say we can't, start the work. And one of the most simplest ways is to really, to me, one of the most foundational, well, most important foundational thing to do for the nervous system is to know that you're safe in your body. And the most basic nervous system signal of safety is that you can see, hear, and believe yourself. And how that looks for the body is, it's not a case of, oh, I know who I am. Of course, I can see myself and I'm here. It's sending signals to the brainstem that it knows you know where you are. And how we do that is there are three basic skills. I say basic because it sounds really basic, but it's so powerful for the nervous system. That and we call it ABC. So A is awareness. So you being aware of where you are in the space that you're in now. So anytime we're in hypervigilance, or the nervous system's kind of going into a sympathetic override, the eyes and the neck and the head go quite focused, and wherever we look, our vision goes quite short, and if we do look, the whole head and the kind of neck go together. So what we want to do is the opposite of that. So when we're doing awareness, if it's safe for you to do so, the first thing to do is to try and look into the distance. So as soon as your eyes go into the distance, your brain's getting the information that, oh, we're not, nothing's immediate. And then as soon as we start to uncouple the eyes and the head, so how we can do that is really slowly, you can turn your head to one side and move your eyes around.
Should we all do it with you, Charlotte?
Yeah, if you want to do it, I can talk you through an
Yeah,
exercise to
that
do.
would be great. I think, is everyone okay with that?
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
we're
we're
up
going
for it.
to work through an ABC exercise. So A is awareness, B is breath, and C is how our body makes contact with the ground. And those three things together are going to allow your body to let go in this moment. So when you're ready, start by, and even if you're in a room you've been in a lot of times, it's okay. I'm going to invite you to allow your eyes to go and look into the distance. So beyond from the screen, and even if you have a wall in front of you, maybe visualize that you are looking into a mountain range or one of your favorite horizons. And gently turning your head to one side, nice and slow, and being curious to move your eyes around that space, up and down, to the side, and just taking note of things that you see without bringing any judgment in, and very slowly just observing all the things, and allow your eyes to go where they want to go. So not where you think they need to go, just really where how they want to look around, into the distance if that's an option for you. And then I'll invite you to very slowly start to bring your head back to the center. And then you can take it to the other side, only to what feels comfortable. If anything doesn't feel comfortable, you can stop the movement and you can look up or down really nice and slowly, and really checking in that are you following your impulse with where your eyes want to look. And as we're doing this now, I'm going to now start to invite you bring awareness to your breath. So as we're looking around, just notice how you know you're breathing, how the breath enters the body and how it leaves. And you can move your head wherever you want to now, down or up. And if you notice your breath holds at any point, that's okay. We don't need to breathe any particular way, we're just noticing. It might be shallow, it might be free and deep. So now you know where your breath is. The last thing is to bring awareness, if it feels safe to do so, how your body makes contact with the ground or the surface that you're on now. So it might be your sit bones, how your back makes contact if you're on a chair, how your feet touch the ground, maybe even how your clothes are touching your skin. And then popping back to your breath and seeing if we can kind of go between all three. So we're looking, noticing the breathing, and noticing how the body makes contact with the surface that we're on. And then when you're ready, just bring your eyes back to the screen, and invite you, if it feels safe to do so, to maybe close your eyes. If not, have your eyes gaze down. And maybe take a moment just to notice what you notice in your body. So there's no right or wrong here. It's just really any points of tension, any points of ease, and really just meeting the body where it is in this moment without the need to change anything. And if you do notice any points of tension, I'm just going to invite you to Just see if allowing the breath to go to that area. So you're breathing in, if it feels supportive through the nose, and send breath to the tension areas. Just as a way of meeting the tension. Don't need to change it. It's just sending breath to those areas. Or if there's no tension, just noticing where you want the breath to go. And then just noticing what happens in the body. And then when you're ready, you can kind of bring your awareness back to the space. And as you bring your awareness back to the space, if you can, so even though you're awake and aware of where we are now, just trying to keep hold of anything you notice, and so your attention can be there and also here. And so we don't need to kind of come back into the screen. We can have a dual relationship with who we're talking to, but also know, I'm taking care of my body. If I need to move, I can. If I want to just take a breath, I can. And you're always, in connection with your body. So just out of interest there, did anybody notice anything? There's no right or wrong answer, by the way. Just what people, if you want to share, you don't have to share, or you can put it in the comments. What did anybody notice anything?
You can unmute or yes, Lucy.
Sorry, I'm not on video because I'm just aware I look really scruffy. Sorry. Just
Oh, you're gorgeous.
laying on my bed looking a bit hot and bothered. I think that's amazing because I'm someone that actually at 45 probably has struggled to feel safe in the world, right? I'm very much in that um flight nature. And just doing that, the sense of calm was really beautiful and it felt very grounding. It didn't feel like I'd floated off somewhere and found that calm from disconnect. It actually felt a very connected, peaceful way of saying, you know what, everything is okay in this moment, and that's something that I probably don't should do every day, really.
Yeah, and all on this call here, if you want to send your details to Althea, I've got a little recording and I can share that with everybody here. And it's a daily thing, really. So the initial question was, how do we release it? If everybody just did that alone every day, and you might get sick of my voice after a bit, and that's okay. You could do it yourself because you've got the concept, and you are signaling to your nervous system, I am safe. And it's that you see and hear and believe in yourself. We don't need to give our power away and have somebody else do it. That is the initial blueprint to I am safe. And it's so powerful, and it's something that gets missed in a lot of kind of trauma work. And you have all the ice baths and breath work and all this psycho, the kind of ayahuasca, all these kind of great things. But if somebody cannot fundamentally do that basic neurosensory exercise and not get triggered, then you can build up to these things. But many of my clients, this thing can spin people out. And so if this spins somebody out, then we know we've got work to do. So and so this is really where the work is. And so to me it's a daily, it's like cleaning your teeth. And then once you've done it through an audio and the guided way, the goal then is to bring it into, I don't know, that you could experiment when you buy a loaf of bread or something, and when you're talking to the checkout, can I do a bit of that body thing and engage with somebody else? And then you could try it when you're driving. I don't mean you have to look around, but the element of it when you're driving or when you're cleaning, like any job, any task in your day. Can I just spend 10 seconds of where's my body? Where's my breath?
Because
And
we hold things in the body and doing these simple actions, you're connecting to your truth and what's inside of you, isn't it?
yeah.
But okay, did you want to say something?
Yeah, hi. I was wondering because would that help, well, me, for instance, in maybe like a conflict situation with someone, because I notice how dysregulated my nervous system is, that I get really nervous when I come into a sort of conflict situation with someone. And when you said about your view, I do really resonate with the experience that it all goes really narrow. But at the moment, in the heat of the moment, I don't think I would be going like, hold on, everybody, I need to look around the room. And
Yeah.
yeah, so is there something that I could do then and there, or is it just do this practice and you'll eventually, yeah, get better at it when a situation comes up?
Yeah, that's a really good question.
Oh,
Because
thank you for understanding.
yeah, no, that's really good because we can't do that in the conflict situation because it's likely going to make the conflict worse if we're looking
Well,
at,
yeah,
oh, you're
was
not interested in what I'm
yeah,
saying. Yeah, no, there are micro things that you can definitely do in that moment. So I'll come back to that. But doing this exercise, along with other things, I do teach other things, and there's different techniques that do bigger releases, that work on, quite powerfully on the body. Once we start doing this regularly, our capacity gets bigger. So our nervous system then has more capacity. So when we're in conflict, that narrowness doesn't come in as quickly.
yeah,
And if we tap into these micro versions of it, the body kind of picks up on it, and we can not be as um, hyper aroused so quickly. That's to say, we're not always going to probably, we're not, no one's perfect because we're human. And if
mm,
something has hit a trigger, or, you know, there are things that you can bring in. So in the moment, one of the things that I do is I'll always come onto the back foot. So anytime we're in hyperarousal and the sympathetic nervous system's going up, we tend to go forward. And when the body goes forward, it uses a lot more energy.
like leaning forward, or
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. So
yeah,
it could be micro movements, like a head goes forward, the eyes have gone, um, or the shoulders have come up. So, or we might even be leaning into it, and because we're going into a fight response, so it's all very natural. But so in that moment, the more we start to know, or should I say, unstick this kind of numbness, we can notice that we're going into this before maybe, or
yeah,
before, it's an unfolding process. So in the moment, coming onto the back foot and allowing your whole body weight to go onto the back foot is quite a big move to just,
mm,
one, you don't look confrontational to the other person, and two, your whole nervous system energetically is being preserved. If in that moment you can feel, just know where the ground is, just know where your feet is, and just notice your breath. That in that moment,
yeah,
that's probably all you can
yeah,
do until kind
yeah.
of rest.
Afterwards, you always kind of, it's with anything, isn't it? You always kind of know, oh, and I was like, oh, so calmer and not so, the breath, but it's the awareness that you're actually doing it at the time. It's
Yeah,
just not there. It seems like it's also intense what's going on. If there would
yeah,
be someone there saying, you're doing it now, that would actually be a good way of,
yeah,
but it's not. It's always going to catch you off guard, the
yeah,
situation of conflict.
100%.
So I know all about breathing and, taking 10 seconds and even taking a first, but it just doesn't happen when a situation comes up.
Yeah.
So
I
yeah,
think, and
it's,
that's right, because in this moment, I mean, I have situations, and yeah, my body just responds straight. I can
yeah,
feel it. But the beauty is after when you start doing this work, so when we've lived in this world and maybe we've not been aware, because this amnesia sets in the body, and like you said, it comes in and you don't even know you're there. We tend to be able to feel sensations when they're kind of at an 8, 9, and 10, when it's like redlining. We really need to be feeling these sensations at a 1, 2, and a 3, which is that them little tiny flutters and these this kind of really light sensation you'll be feeling before you get to the trigger. That's the bit that we want to unstick so you can identify it. And that's where this work is. We start doing it regularly, bringing it into your life. We unstick this frozen body, which we've culturally been driven to have, and we start to break down the dissociative states that we can get in. We then start to be able to feel the body. Now, it's not going to stop you going into a fight flight, but you're going to be able to regulate because you're getting the information quicker. And, you know, and it's just an unfolding journey, really. But by no means do you want to get rid of it either. You know, it's just each time you do it, then it's that reflection of, you know, because if we don't reflect, we're not going to grow. So the fact that you're even having this process is the work, because you want to make a change. And I think that's a beautiful thing, just like being
Good
aware.
point.
It's
Good point.
really amazing that you want to reflect on this matters to you, and you will achieve it.
So
Because
this exercise we did now, all of us, is that something you recommend to do daily, like a meditation or, you know, brushing teeth,
yeah,
just like a few minutes every day or
yeah, that
longer?
exercise alone is real. I've had clients who have just done that, and they've it's landed with them. They've just really liked it. I've given them
Yeah,
everything else, and they just like this one.
yeah,
And it's transformed them because they've stuck with it and they've been consistent. And any of the things I teach, if you stay consistent with one, you're going to get a
yeah,
result. I mean, if you bring them all in, we're just having a speedier journey.
yeah.
Um, but it's really then you've got choice, because you we don't want to just feel, oh, you have to do this. We need choice because not everything is suitable for everybody. So that this one thing alone, this is the foundation of all the work I do. If people can't do this, I can't really do anything else with them until we feel safe.
That's a
Okay.
good little test, isn't it, to see
Yeah.
how far you can go.
So
Someone's
Yeah.
very, built up over layers and things. I mean,
Mm.
I mentioned to you my story off camera that it took me until I was 30 to even begin to share, as some of you know my story. But so this little test, this little exercise, it's something empowering. I can feel it, that you've connected to your body, connecting to your vision and the breath. You know, these are fundamental systems in you. And it's a
Yeah.
good little test whether you can go forward. I know
and the
before I was 30, I could never share anything, but from 30, I would have been more receptive. And it's a great little tester, isn't it? To see if you're ready to let go of what binds you, of what holds
Yeah.
you. So
and
we have
the goal of sorry, the goal of this exercise is to feel safe in your body. Is that
Yeah, this is the so that
learn?
you've got micro and macro versions of feeling safe in your body, and this is the micro one.
Yeah,
So this is sending a signal to your nervous system, and it's going to pick up that you know where you are, and
yeah,
it
literally,
knows
yeah. By
where
looking.
you are.
Yeah.
And so it says, oh, she's doing the thing.
Ah,
She's doing that thing, and we're okay.
ah, cool. Yeah,
Whereas, you know, our protective mechanism is we seek validation to make us feel okay, and that's where it all
yeah,
gets messy.
yes, yes.
But we've been brought up, this is our survival
The
adaptation.
system.
It's
Thank,
all, you know,
thank you, Rebecca. Thank you for your question, sweetheart. So we have come to the top of the hour now, and I can see. I mean, I feel like this hour's gone like that. I don't know about everybody here, but I feel like it's gone so quick tonight, and it's just tip of the iceberg of a very deep subject of something that might have been affecting you for many years, like it was with me. I didn't even realize. didn't want to go there, you know. So maybe you have something similar. So do please get in contact with Charlotte to take it further. Charlotte, do you have websites? And you mentioned this recording. With this recording, I'm going to be sending it out to everybody. It's going to be on my website by tomorrow. And it'll have the recording. Can you send that to me, Charlotte? And I'll put it on the record with this recording.
Yeah, and you know, as a gift to everybody who's come here today, you can you can all have a copy. And whether you want to send your email to me, so my website is
Yeah,
it's
I'll put all your details with this recording, so everyone will
yeah.
have your
So
recording and all your details to contact you.
yeah, so as a gift, just send me your email, and I won't spam you or anything. It's just to send you the thing. Um and um and you can go through the recording, and I'll send you two. I'll send you a 5 minute one and a 14 minute one. The 14 minute one, I get some people can't get past 30 seconds, or some people just love it. Like there's no it, but it's just you've got a choice. Then you've got a quicker one and a longer one, and yeah, and then if you want to
Amazing.
yeah, kind of see how you
That's
go.
amazing. That's amazing, Charlotte. Thank you so much. And I think as I said in the beginning, hats off to you for this very delicate and deep and powerful work that you're doing of changing people's lives, getting them back tuned into them and freeing them up to be themselves, authentic, and to release them from whatever it is that binds them. I think it's amazing work that you're doing. And we've only covered a tip of the iceberg tonight. Thank you so much, Charlotte, for sharing and getting us started with this. Do get in contact with Charlotte, if you're feeling drawn to her and the work that she's doing. Go and have a look at the website. Go and get your recordings and get in contact. All the details will be with this recording on my website, and I'll be sending it out to everybody, so you'll have that. And thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. I really appreciate it. Charlotte, would you like to leave us with with a word, a thought, a vision, a prompt, a step to leave us to go out into the world with, or into the evening?
Gosh, I have so many. I think that is, you know, kind of really find your authentic voice, and share your stories with people you feel safe with. And yeah, start to, if you haven't already, take this journey to unravel the sensations in your body, unstick this frozenness that we've all been subject to, and trust the process. It because as we unstick it, this frozenness, it allows us to feel more joy. And so when joy does come into our life, we can feel it. And it's more electrifying because we've taken away this numbness. So it's not all about, obviously you want to get rid of the pain and all the stress, but we want to experience joy deeper and feel it. And that's where the magic is, I feel. So if that's not a
Absolutely.
motivation, then I don't know what else is to
That's
say.
beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, and goes deep. I can really feel it. So thank you so much, Charlotte, and thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. And the link will be in your emails shortly. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye for now.
Bye.